I wasn't going to be satisfied as an assistant coach, and I wanted to be a head coach of a professional football team, and Green Bay gave me the chance to be one.
In January 1959, Green Bay, Wisconsin saw the dawning of a new era. The smallest NFL city had seen its once proud franchise reduced to a last-place team that won a single game in 1958. Disgusted fans had seen enough and hung team president Dominik Olejniczak in effigy.
They were really in danger of actually losing their franchise. It was a very vulnerable situation.
We were hoping change would come. I get a kick out of people saying, well, we expected something. No one expected Coach Lombardi.
He was completely ready. He had a fire in him unlike any other coach. It's the fact that he had those 20 years in the vineyards, preparing himself, thinking that he was better than people realized. All of those frustrations made the great Lombardi possible.
When Lombardi came in, he said, I know there's a board of directors, and he says, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I'm in charge here.
Even though his only head coaching experience was limited to high school, 45-year-old Vince Lombardi also insisted on becoming general manager. Since the Packers were community-owned, it was up to the executive board and team president Olejniczak to address Lombardi's demands.
Olejniczak, he treated like a janitor.
Early on, they played a inter-squad game, and Lombardi sat up in the stands, and Olejniczak came down the next day, and he said, here's a list of things that the board of directors said were wrong. And Lombardi took the paper, crumpled it up, threw it on the ground. He says, I'll coach the damn team.
You got to remember something. Vince worked so hard to get where he got. Failure could not be an option because he always believed in his heart he'd never get another chance.
Tell you how proud we are to have you a part of the Packers, just as you should be proud to be here, to be a part of this team.
When he walked into the meeting, and he looked us right in the eye, he said, gentlemen, we're going to relentlessly chase perfection, knowing full well we won't catch it because nothing is perfect. But we're going to relentlessly, and that's how he blurted it, chase it, because in the process we will catch excellence. He said, I'm not remotely interested in being just good. Holy mackerel, man, I was just up like this. I didn't even need a seat to sit on. I was like this, ready to go.
In August 1959, Green Bay's new head coach opened his first training camp.
I was in a Marine boot camp for 2 years. I knew all about how tough it was, and these things were picnics compared to what he did. Come on the field, at first he took a lap. We thought it was fine. Then the receivers would go out and run patterns. And he'd say, okay, now we start practice. And then we went to up-down.
And up-down is running in place. When he says front, you hit your belly, back, you hit your back. And you would do that to the point of exhaustion. Guys would lose consciousness on the field, vomiting. It wasn't uncommon to see a guy just keel over.
It was unbelievable. We all just looked at each other. We couldn't believe this guy's crazy.
Big thing is that he recognized the talent which was there.
We had a lot of talent. Nitschke, Jimmy Taylor, Ringo, myself, Forrest Gregg, Horning, Starr. There were 13 guys who were Pro Bowl, All-Pro, or Hall of Fame on that 58 team. And we were 110-1.
I believe we'll have a nucleus about which we can build a future.
Lombardi's first official game as head coach had finally arrived. Hosting the Bears, Green Bay pulled off an upset, winning 9-6. It was only the first game of the season, but the Packers celebrated as if they had won the championship.
think it was self-preservation. Make him happy, maybe he'll be nicer on us tomorrow, but I don't know.
The Packers ended up with a 7-5 record, their first winning season in 11 years. Now that his authority went unchallenged, Lombardi was free to instill in his players the same values that had been driven into him.
I think the Jesuit influence was there, you know, the discipline, the striving for excellence.
And he really incorporated a lot of that into both his personality and the way he conceived of a football team.
You either had to believe in him and live to his values and his discipline and everything he was about, or you're out of here.
After a dismal decade, the Packers were responding to Lombardi's leadership.
Too slow getting in there. Man had his man way the hell back here. You never get to the hole.
The teacher was schooling his players on everything, from how to read a defense to how to tell time.
Lombardi time is early time.
A minimum 5 minutes early.
10 minutes early.
15 minutes early.
We all ran on Lombardi time.
Yeah, we all became compulsive punctuals.
The first time I went to, the bus was to leave at 11 o'clock. I got there at 10 of 11. I was 5 minutes late.
Come on, run.
As trivial as it seemed, there was a method to his madness.
I really think what was behind it was these guys were his guys. They were playing his game under his auspices. And he wanted them to accept what he said, and then that became gospel.
Here was a man that I just liked from the day we met him in that first meeting. But because I had not shown much in his eyes, I had to work my way up there.
A 17th round draft pick in 1956 out of Alabama, Bart Starr had little to show for his brief NFL career. He now had to prove he could be the leader Lombardi wanted him to be. That process would start on the practice field.
I throw a pass and it's tipped. The ball is intercepted. And he is chewing my you-know-what out. Just unbelievable. So I said, Coach, may I see you after practice? He said, sure. So I went down into his office and said, Coach, I can take your chewing. That doesn't bother me. And I said, yet you chew my you-know-what out in front of the entire team, and yet you want me to be leading that team. Please don't chew me out in front of them. If you want to chew me out for something, please do it here in your office. He never, ever chewed me out in practice again. I think it was a turning point.
He turned a lot of players around. And don't forget one thing, you can't coach if the player hasn't been taught.
Here's what they do in the best offense.
And he taught.
I'm saying you have to change every time, you see, and you shouldn't change every time. But I can say this, I think this is a sure pass.
You're always kind of saving a little bit to stay alive, you know. You're not giving him everything you got, but you're giving him quite a bit. And he wanted every ounce of ability you had. And he would not relent, and he wouldn't stop until you gave it to him.
Go ahead now. Yeah.
I jumped off sides one time in a scrimmage, and he got in my face, and he said, Mister, the concentration period of a college student is 5 minutes, high school is 3 minutes, kindergarten is 30 seconds. You don't even have that, so where's that put you? Put me checking my shoe shine. I go up in the locker room, sitting there, chin in my hand, elbow in my knee, looking at the floor, thinking, I'm never going to play for this guy. And he came in the door, came across the room, slapped me on the back of the neck, messed up my hair. He said, son, one of these days you're going to be the best guard in football. And he turned around and walked away. And that started my motor. With that comment, he allowed me to think about being a great football player. And from that point on, I worked my tail off. I gave him everything I had. It made a profound impact on my life.
The Packers' turnaround was in full swing. In only his second season, Lombardi brought Green Bay its first division title in 16 years and won them a trip to the 1960 NFL title game against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Clock continues to run. 10 seconds. Packers have time maybe for one more play. Starr takes the ball.
Trailing 17-13 with time running out, the Packers came up 9 yards short of their first championship under Lombardi.
He was talking about the Eagles after the ball game in our dressing room. He said, "We got beat today." But he said, "I can tell you right now, it won't ever happen again." He says this to us right after the ball game. It won't ever happen again. No one will ever beat us in a championship game again.
The sun peeks through the cloudy skies. The town of Green Bay becomes the sports capital of the world.
Lombardi's guarantee was tested the very next year in 1961, when the Pack reached the title game for the second straight year. They were facing a team Lombardi was all too familiar with, the New York Giants. What most people didn't know was that the previous winter, Wellington Mara had approached Lombardi about returning to New York to become head coach of the Giants. One paper even reported that Lombardi had submitted his letter of resignation to the Packers.
He left New York actually presuming that he would return to New York and be the coach of the Giants.
Mara was acting on an agreement he thought was in place with Dominik Olejniczak.
Mr. Mara's view was that when he gave Mr. Olejniczak permission to talk to me to come to Green Bay, that it was understood at the time that if a position was available in New York that I was to come back. Mr. Olejniczak said he did not have that understanding.
Had Lombardi returned to the Giants, history would have told a far different story. As it was, Lombardi and Mara were still friends, right up to game time.
The night before the championship game in Green Bay, they went out to dinner, and my dad drove Mara to the restaurant, and they had a good time. And then as the dinner wound down, my dad just kind of pops up and says, "We're going to beat you tomorrow," and leaves without Mara having a ride home.
Green Bay comes up to the line. Snap of the ball, Paul Hornung off the right side, cuts to the 5, touchdown.
The Packers won 37-0. Lombardi had his first NFL championship, and the defeated Giants could only admire the coach they almost had.
Packers have won the championship.
In only 3 years, Lombardi had taken a nucleus of talent and shaped it into a team of champions. And nothing embodied Green Bay's success more than a seemingly routine running play.
Gentlemen, this is the most important play we have. It's the play we must make go. It's the play that we will make go. And it's the play that we will run again and again and again.
In Green Bay, the play was known as the power sweep. It perfectly suited Lombardi's love of precision, teamwork, and brains.
It's a kind of a complex play that looks very simple. There's a lot of things that have to happen for the play to work well. If they do this, we do that. If they do that, we do this. And we adjust to where the defense goes, so the defense is almost always wrong, and the back will run to daylight.
To Lombardi, the sweep was more than a play. It defined him.
And they ran it and ran it and ran it.
If the end has the linebacker taken in, he will come around it and seal inside. What we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here and try to run this play in the alley.
It was run to perfection.
Lombardi didn't invent it, but he took everything to a different level than anybody else because he was Lombardi and he had an obsession that was deeper than anyone else's. He adopted it and used it as the signature of his offense.
Lombardi became the definitive expert on the power sweep and shared his enthusiasm for the play with anyone that would listen.
I saved up everything I had to go up to a coaching clinic, and Vince Lombardi was the speaker. Now, at this time, I was a young coach. I was coaching in junior college, and to be honest with you, I thought I knew it all. And I go in and I sit in the back. You know, this is how stupid I was and naive. Vince Lombardi, you know, the guy who's up there talking, and I'm sitting in the back row like I'm in church. And he talks for 8 hours on one play, the Green Bay sweep. Talked for 4 hours.
Keeping his eyes right on the numbers of the defensive man.
Took a break and came back and talked for 4 hours more. So then I left after that, and I said, I don't know a damn thing.
Having perfected the sweep by 1962, the Packers outscored every other team in the league. With a nearly flawless 13-1 record, they were one of the greatest NFL teams ever assembled. Their reward was a return trip to the title game in a rematch against the Giants.
Well, we've got a jam-packed Yankee Stadium here this afternoon.
Lombardi showed his hometown what he was made of and coached the Packers to a convincing 16-7 victory.
For the second straight year, the Green Bay Packers have won the National Football League championship.
Lombardi had built a dynasty, and Green Bay was now on the map.
It's usually a small-town kid who comes to the big city of New York and makes it. And here was Lombardi, you know, this New York City kid, born and bred, who's frustrated and was passed over, and finally goes out to little Green Bay, this godforsaken place that he'd only seen once before in his life, and he made it there and became sort of a transcendent figure.
The Packers' success transformed Lombardi from an East Coast outsider to the Pope of Green Bay. He had saved a beloved franchise and restored pride to a humble corner of America. Green Bay was renamed Titletown, and Lombardi took his place among modern-day legends.
He was trying to raise football to the level of those other professions that he thought about but didn't achieve, being a priest, being a lawyer. But the truth is, he incorporated the best of all of those other professions into what he did as a football coach.
He taught us a lot more about life than he did about football. He used football to teach life.
It wasn't enough to be a football coach. That wasn't what God ordained for him. He had to see himself in a broader perspective. A teacher and a molder of young men's character.